So let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm going to check if I'm able to hear my own voice. But meanwhile, let me know if you guys can hear me. Can Yep, I can hear my own voice in the video. Hi everyone. If you're watching this live, do let me know in the chat section there. So hi Buddha, thank you for saying yes. Hi Madhusudan. Hi Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. Hi Mithilesh. Good evening, guys. So where are you guys from? So just mention where are you from so that I can maybe address with a good evening or a good night or maybe good morning. So hi Shobit. Hey Chikwoka. Hi Balaji. Hi Zapper24. Hi Kumar. Hi Narsima. So hey Balaji, you're from Canada. Good, great. Good morning. So hi Chandrasekhar, you're from Chennai. Good evening. Good night. So hi Mithilesh, you're from Hyderabad. Hey Manoj. Hi Sunil. Hi Deepak. You're also from Chennai. Good. Hi Tushar from Chicago. Hi Tushar. Good morning. So hi Narasimha. You're from USA. Good morning again. Hi Paryush. Hi Anthem. So you guys have already started asking questions. Maybe I can just start answering and then we can get that started, right? So few examples where microservices are used. So that's the first question from Madhusoodan. So few examples in the sense, so let's say you are creating applications where you have a product and you have some services exposed to some consumers, and you want to scale them up and down based on the usage by the consumer, and you don't want to scale the application as a whole, but you want to scale only a part of a component inside your product. So that is when you will split your product into two. So that's when you can scale your microservice. You can call your service which you want to scale up and scale down as microservice, and you can create multiple instances of that individually from the other components in your product. So that is an example of when you can go for creating microservices. So stay hungry, stay foolish is asking difference between the web service and JMS and ESB. So web services are basically, it could be any what do you call executable code which is doing a kind of a task or a job which is exposed by HTTP or HTTPS um, protocol, right? So which can be accessed via the internet. So that is a typical web service. JMS is basically a queuing system, so Java messaging service. So it's basically for interacting between microservices when you want to put it into a queue, which is extremely outside these two different services. If you're using a web service, you will have to have the web service always up in order to get the messages back. But if you're using JMS, you can just put it into a queue and then you can consume from that queue whenever your consuming application is up. Right, so that is the difference between those two. ESB is enterprise service bus. So ESBs will have additional routing rules and something related to interacting with different systems in addition to JMS. So you can say that it's a more featured JMS or something like that. So who's next? Shobit is from Gurgaon. Oh, he's from Nigeria. Great. I have visitors from across the country, across the world, in fact, right? So the next question is future of Micronaut. Or please upload. Okay, please upload the microservice design patterns, bro. Sure, Sunil, I'll definitely do that. I'm trying to create the categories with diverse categories, right? So I don't want to put just microservices, or I don't want to put just AWS or Kubernetes or Jenkins, right? That's why I'm trying to do videos of different categories. I'll definitely do the microservice design pattern. I'll start off with Saga pattern next, right? So Parish says future of Micronaut. So Micronaut, yeah, the right now the Micronaut is compromising, and we need to look at how enterprises are adapting Micronaut, and because it's completely competitive with Spring Boot, but I'm pretty sure Spring Boot will definitely counter argue with a similar product, maybe in Spring Boot 3.0 or maybe Spring Boot 2.3 or something, right? So I'm just waiting for that. So hi safe, hi Burma. Please tell me the difference between. Oh, this is what we said already. Suresh, hi Suresh, you're from Hyderabad. So Saif Ali is asking Swagger with AWS API gateway attributes. Yeah, sure, definitely. I can take a look at that. Right now, we saw the API gateway by integrating with that offer, Amazon Beanstalk application. But if let's say you have Swagger enabled with it, you can definitely get that up and running. So it's no big deal. You can take a look at my Swagger video and then integrate that into a Spring Boot application to get that up and running. How to do stress test for microservice. So what you can do is you can create maybe parallel executables or parallel test runners in order to use that. There are different test runners, for example JMeter and stuff like that, with which you can do performance testing. You can try that as well. So hi Javalos, hi Sandeep, hi Hema, hi Yuganshu. What about Docker? So, Docker, yeah, you can see lots of videos in the channel about Docker, right from the basics of Docker till how to create images with Docker, how to create a Java jar with Docker, and then run it inside a Docker engine and stuff like that. So you can definitely take a look at those videos. What is the use of API gateway? I have a complete video on what is API gateway with an example of Swiggy architecture. So I have just discussed what is Swiggy architecture looks like. It's a hypothetical architecture based on the details which Swiggy has published publicly. So you can take a look at that video, Satish. But in general, if you want me to explain what is API gateway, it's like a router. So you will be exposing only one URL to the downstream, even though you have multiple microservices internally in your system. So this is the video. You can take a look at this particular video, API gateway microservices pattern. You can check that. It has in-depth video on how Swiggy is handling their problems using API gateway. How the microservices talk to each other in production, like AWS or Kubernetes. Yeah, so there are different ways you can access or interact with different microservices. It could be either using REST, or you can use messaging queues, like how there was a question, right? Difference between web service versus JMS. So you can have a queues. For example, in AWS, there is something called SQS, simple queuing service. So you can use that to interact with different services, or you can use HTTPS. So you can have REST clients and you can access these via REST, right? So you can interact with either of these mediums. There are teams which are using gRPC or remote procedure calls, right? So you can use that as well. So it could be either in AWS or Kubernetes. So both should be fine. So hi Rana, good evening. So what is the best way to do stress test? Okay, it's the same question. How JMS is different from the RabbitMQ? So JMS is a specification, and RabbitMQ is an implementation. So it's something similar to JPA versus Hibernate, right? So Hibernate uses the JPA standards in order to implement the Java Persistence API. So RabbitMQ is similar to that. It's implementing the Java Messaging Service protocol. So what is the best way to document APIs in bottom-up approach without writing so many annotations? I would say you can create documentation using Swagger, right? So you can add without using annotations. I don't know how to do that. Like from what I have seen, people have been using Swagger. If you don't add annotations, Swagger will by default create documentations as well, even though you have just annotated or added the configurations of Swagger in your application. You don't have to add annotations to have Swagger up and running. So you can integrate with Swagger, but if you want to have specific description in your documentation, that's when you will use annotations. So you can directly use Swagger. Tushar. Shobhi says Apache Flink versus Apache Beam. Which one to choose? What are the basic requirements? I have never looked at either of these. Let me check what is Apache Flink. I've heard, but I've never seen. Okay, competitions over data streams. I've never tried out Shobit. I can't um, suggest you something there. Mutaya, hi Mutaya. Any good tutorials to learn Akka in Java? Most of them are in Scala. No, I have never looked at Akka as a framework for data streams, right? But I'm not sure if you have checked the Plural site. You can definitely look at the Plural site to see if there are any good tutorials there, right? So Saif is asking, generating Swagger YAML for AWS API gateway attributes. Okay, you want to generate Swagger YAML based on the API gateway attributes. That you can definitely use the Swagger code gen in order to generate these. YAML, right? That you can use. I'm having 24 lakhs of rows of codes in table. I need to fetch based on few filters. How can I handle it? Okay, you're having 24 lakhs of codes in the table. I need to fetch based on few filters. How can I? So yeah, you can, if let's say you want to have a reactive UI where you want to show users with just like, let's say first you want to load 100 rows, then when the user scrolls up you want to show the next 100 rows. So you can do that way as well, right? So you can keep on rendering the data whenever the UI is scrolled or loaded into the database, and then you can push it to the UI. But let's say if you want to export into an Excel or somewhere else, you can use definitely reactive streams and then keep on appending the data into the Excel. So what is event driven microservice and Spring Rule Engine? So event driven microservices are where you are going to interact with different services in terms of events. For example, let's say you have a service A tells service B that I have created something. So then based on that event, service B is going to trigger an action based on the created event. So it's going to, let's say, mark it as in progress. And then there's a service C which will go from in progress, which will change the state from in progress to maybe completed or something. So based on the states, these are going to be performing an action, and these are all events, right? So these are states and events. So that's how you can have event driven microservice, right? So how JMS is different from Navigator? I've already answered it. What is the difference between Kafka and JMS? Same way, Kafka is again queuing, distributed queuing platform. JMS is just a what do you call a specification. Can we have more videos on Spring Web Flux patterns? Sure, definitely. Like backpressure. Sure, definitely. Sandeep, I can definitely take a look at that. I'm working on building chatbot on Watson, Google I/O, Alexa, and other platforms. I know Java, so should I go for AWS certification or go on integrating integration work like Spring Boot and Kafka? Please give me input. Yeah, AWS certification is definitely recommended if you want to work on the AWS ecosystem. But parallelly, if you want to deploy applications and you want to create applications with different frameworks, then definitely learn about Spring Boot and Kafka, right? So I would say AWS certification is worth when you want to work in the AWS ecosystem. Definitely, you can proceed with that. Similar videos on my channel too. Sure, definitely go ahead, dude. So how service discovery and load balancing happens with Cloud Foundry? So load balancing doesn't happen automatically. So there is an internal load balancer inside the Cloud Foundry platform. So there is something called router inside Cloud Foundry. So using the router, the Cloud Foundry instance knows that within a data center, it knows how many applications are deployed, and then it routes automatically using the round robin fashion. So by default, it uses round robin. So it's all present in something called Cloud Foundry router, which is called as a Go router internally in the platform, right? So that is the load balancing inside the platform. And service discovery, there is something called service discovery service in the marketplace in Cloud Foundry. So you can use the service discovery from the Cloud Foundry, and internally this service in discovery server is present. Basically the Eureka server is present inside the platform, and you can bind your application to the service and then get it registered, right? So that's how it happens inside Cloud Foundry. So Narasimha is asking, what are the benefits of using YAML builds in VSTS build pipelines instead of UI builds? I don't understand what you're asking. VSTS is which is that? Narasimha, can you elaborate that? I've used Jenkins, mm, right? I've used TeamCity and stuff. VSTS is what tool? But from what I see, YAML is basically your configuration based build. So you can control your build using the configurations. UI based builds are basically you want to do manual stuff from the UI, you can trigger it. So underneath it should be the same from what I look, right? Can you tell about PCF workspace? So PCF workspace is similar to AWS workspace, where let's say I want to create a Mac desktop or Windows desktop. You can create a PCF workspace and then get it launched from there. So it's similar to how you are using or logging into your work, right? So if I'm pretty sure you might be logging into your VMware system or Windows server from your desktop, right? So it's similar to that, but inside the Cloud Foundry platform. How React will shape the future of web stack? I'm not a much into the web space. I have had my hands dirty with Angular and other JSP and stuff, but I'm not done like exploring React to the extent where I can explain this, right? So saying that future of web stack with React and stuff, because I see lots of people talking about Flutter and React and React Native and discussing about that, but I'm not sure which one will rule, right? Both will have its own advantages and disadvantages, like how we have Angular and other things, right? So it's basically Facebook versus Google. So Sam is asking, will Spring Boot take over Spring in future? Obviously, right? Right now, I feel lots of people are using Spring Boot than Spring. Even the enterprises are moving towards Spring Boot because it's easy to deploy applications just like that. Because most of our applications are all web services, so definitely Spring is used internally inside Spring Boot. So obviously, people will be using Spring Boot as a whole. What do you call a framework now? That opinionated framework, if you ask me, right? So and internally they will be using Spring to load stuff. Please do videos on system interface design like WhatsApp and Twitter. Yeah, like I wanted to do more of hands-on videos than explanatory videos, but yeah, definitely I'll try. I have seen other YouTubers doing this stuff, right? So I don't want to redo the same thing which somebody has already done. So can you give a video on rest assured? Sure, Sitaraman, I will definitely take a look at. I have that noted actually in my dashboard. More videos on AWS QS. Yes, sure, definitely I'll do, Sandeep. So I'm exploring AWS, so I'll definitely try to do whatever I could with the free tier, right? So that you guys can also try it out. Do you have any best practices around DevOps for microservices? It depends on what you are asking, Raji, right? So there are different aspects to DevOps and microservices, right? So I would say automate everything, right, end to end. So right from committing your code till deploying your applications into your dev or production, I would say automate everything with the right checks and balances. So that is what DevOps will mean for me. I'll launch the same. We need. Okay, I'll do it. How can I be? Can you make a detailed video about service mesh? I watched your intro video. Yeah, sure, Hariharan. The only problem with service mesh is I need a Kubernetes cluster. So what I did is I have tried my uh, Google Fleet IR. So I'm trying out Kubernetes there. Right, you would have seen the latest video on Kubernetes. So I'm going to set up a cluster there, and I'm going to try Kubernetes in that space. And in the Kubernetes instance, I'll try the Istio by using the service mesh, maybe whichever comes in inside the Google Cloud platform, right? So I'll definitely try that once I get the Kubernetes setup running, because I can't show service now in my laptop because I cannot set up Minikube here, and it's a pretty old laptop, so it doesn't support the requirements with which Minikube is asking now. In fact, my Docker container or the Docker engine is like gone. I'm not able to bring it up because my system has become old. How can we manage REST API authentication in microservice? Can you please make a video with multiple microservices? So that is what Hariharan is also asking. With the introduction of containers and microservices, there is a concept of service mesh, which is going to do all your authentication and monitoring and all metrics collection and stuff like that as a part of your microservice inside your container. All right. So that is what Hariharan is also talking about. You can take a look at that, Suresh. That will be like a new concept which is coming inside the container world, right? So that is completely new, and people are like creating new frameworks of for service mesh, right? But in general, if you ask me, we should have a central service via which you should do the authentication. But generally what people do right now in the enterprise production world is they have libraries which can do authentication. It goes to an authentication server, creates a token, and using the token they interact with the clients, and the client again goes to the authentication server and validates the token. So this happens for every microservice. So it adds a latency to every microservice because it's going and authenticating every request for that particular token which you have passed. So that is how people manage authentication. But yeah, I wanted to make a video with multiple microservices, but yeah, as I said, right, my laptop is not giving me the configuration details. So I have booked a new laptop, so once I get that laptop, I'll definitely do all these heavy duty processes, right? So yeah. Microservices bulkhead pattern too. Sure, definitely, Sandeep. I'll definitely do the bulkhead pattern. Right now, I'm concentrating on the Saga pattern. I'm trying to create a content for that. Which is the best book for core Java? I wouldn't suggest any book right now for core Java. There are lots of hands-on videos. Using those videos, you can get started and then learn Java from there, right? Because most of the Java books are all like outdated, the old ones, right? And right now we are at Java 12. So I'm not even sure whether there are books available already for Java 12. So I would say the web is the best way to start off with Java, because things are moving faster now with Java. Do you see Java Jax web servers phasing out in the future? Yes, obviously there are too many frameworks, right, with respect to web services. So I think yes, because already people are moving away with Jax WS. Hi Kirsch, Zaruddin says, which cloud certification will be the best, AWS or GCP? AWS, obviously, right? There is no doubt about that. Oh, there are too many questions. Let me rush through. Oh, where did I leave it? Okay, here. Sachin says, how do you know when to use singleton? Can you give an example? So singleton you can use when you want to have a what do you call, a same copy of data or a class maybe, right? And you don't want to create multiple copies of this particular class or maybe the data when you are accessing from different threads or internally. So that's when you will go for singleton. We need Axon CQRS event sourcing tutorials. I have no clue on what is Axon, but I knew what is CQRS. I can definitely check that, Sitaraman. Maybe it's I can definitely check that. Right. The next question is, your videos are awesome. May I know your name and bio, which could inspire us? Hey buddy, I'm Ajay. You can take a look at my LinkedIn profile. You can go to about.me/moving to web if you're not seen my earlier videos on live sessions, right? So this is my profile. You can go to about.me/moving to web and take a look at my LinkedIn profile from there, because right now I might be working in a company, maybe in future, like you, who knows, right? So just go and take a look at my LinkedIn profile. That should be giving you some inspiration. I feel, right? And yeah, obviously I have a full-time job. I'm not doing YouTube as a full-time career, right? So I'm just doing YouTube as a hobby. Can you upload videos on Kotlin? Yeah, Muthukumar, I tried some a bit of Kotlin, but then I realized that there are too many things to concentrate outside the programming space. That's why I shifted more towards Kubernetes and AWS and getting hands dirty with the deployment space with DevOps, right? So, but definitely I'll come back to programming languages, right? Back. Oh, it's event handling, is it? Okay. So Chandrasekhar asks, can you please do some videos on Spring Boot JP with MongoDB? I'm very interested here because you're the best YouTuber after Kaushik. Oh, thank you very much, Chandrasekhar. But I did 1 or 2 videos on MongoDB with Spring JPA, right? So let me know if you have any specific use case. I'll definitely try that. Put that in the comment section in the MongoDB video, right? So there is a MongoDB tutorial which I had done with Spring Boot. Take a look at that. Let me see this, right? This is the one, MongoDB Spring Boot example. Take a look at that. In fact, if you guys are not aware, there is like what, 260 plus videos in the channel. So if you want to explore about any topic, just do a search on the search bar in the right corner, and then you should be able to find the videos out there. If something is not there, don't do let me know. How to secure REST APIs, like JW and Spring Security? Definitely, as I said again, there is a video on JWT. There is a video on OAuth. Spring Security has, like I have done so many videos on Spring Security, right? So you can definitely take a look at these. See, these are the videos with an example I have done with a Spring Boot application. So you can definitely take a look at that, Hema. I'm learning Spring Boot right now. Please provide how to learn, as books are not providing complete example. Please provide your approach. So I read the documentation, right? So I directly go with an example. I pick up a use case, and I want to, if I want to learn something, I pick up a use case and I try that particular use case with that particular framework. So and I go inside the documentation. I don't look at anything else, because there is nothing good than the documentation, because things are getting changed every now and then. There is so much difference between Spring 1.5 and Spring 2.0, and documentation is the only place for us to identify these. So yeah. Hi Pavani. Pavani says, I want Ansible. Yeah, I've never tried Ansible, but I have worked on similar products like Ansible. But I'll definitely try my hands on after Kubernetes and AWS. Right. Hi Anil Kumar. Are banks moving to cloud technology? Like, obviously yes. We want to validate incoming request data before it hits to controller. Would you please recommend some suggestion with using customer? Yeah, definitely you will have to use the custom filters in Spring so that you can get the data there. And if you want to do a validation, you can definitely add validation filters. You can create a validation filter. There is something called REST validators or data validators, I think. Comms validator or something like that. So if you want to do that, Definitely use the validators API. I mean the library from Commons. Venkat says hi, Technomans. Thanks a lot for sharing very good videos. Thank you very much, Venkat. Good to know. .NET framework. I am out of .NET right now. I had used .NET in one of my project early in like maybe a few years ago, but definitely I'm not good in .NET, right? So there are too many things to learn, and I have a small brain, right? So I'm not looking at .NET right now, and I mostly I might not. Thank you so much, bro. I learned a lot from you, honestly. Thank you very much, Kamran. I never used Spring Boot. Oh, you should start looking at it, buddy. I have like around 60 plus videos on Spring Boot in the channel. Can you do videos on REST Faint client? Sure, Ranil. I wanted to do it, but yeah, I never found a use case where I wanted to show or use it, right? I can do a hello world kind of a program with Faint client, but I wanted to show a typical use case where people can use it. I'll definitely do that. Having knowledge on only Java and Spring 3.0, how to go about learning boot, microservices, AWS. There are so many things to look into. How to prioritize each topic? Is it necessary for to go for all? I would say start off with one, right? So 3.0 and Java, start off with Spring Boot, and when you come to hosting the Spring Boot, that's when you will have to learn AWS and stuff. So go with a step-by-step approach. I would say start off with Spring Boot, understand how Spring Boot works. There are tons of videos in YouTube. I have like around 60 videos in about Spring Boot and different ways you can use Spring Boot with different frameworks, right? And imagine these individual Spring Boot applications are your microservice, and you can look at my Spring microservices playlist to see the different microservices patterns like historics and service discovery patterns. Like, so you can get started from there, then move to AWS. Your videos are excellent. What is the market for Camel? Any plan for tutorial? So thank you, Sanket. What is the market for Camel? Any plan for a tutorial? Apache Camel? Yeah, there are too many things to look at there. Right, honestly, there is Spring integration. There is Apache Camel. So right now I'm like nowhere coming into the integration space yet, right? But definitely I'll look at making either Spring integration or Apache Camel. Mm. So Wajahat says, can you make a video on Amazon Kinesis? Its use, etc. Can you explain about distributed transactions, event sourcing, and Saga Bunny? Yeah, definitely these are all coming, Wajahat. So I'm trying to make a use case to show you how Saga pattern can help or event sourcing can help you. Right? I'll definitely do those. Can you make a video on how to configure and deploy Spring Boot stock code microservice example to PCF Google Cloud? So you would have seen my video separately on how to deploy to PCF. You can just integrate that video, Tushar. Right? So I have created the stock code, as you know. You can deploy the same into Cloud Foundry. The only thing is your URL will change. Instead of local host, it will be all your service URLs. Hi, Devi Prasad. So hi, Pranjal. Thank you very much. Better than theory. Yep, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do show you with hands-on stuff. Aman says, is Java the only preferred tech for microservice, or is there anything, some other frameworks that we should know about? No, you can create in anything and everything, right? Only thing is you will have to have your libraries which can support your resiliency patterns and stuff like that. Since there are more Java people than the other stacks, people are trying to integrate these patterns easily, right? By creating libraries like, for example, circuit breakers and service discovery patterns. But still, you can have all these written in Python as well, or in fact in Ruby as well. The only thing is you will have to find the right library in which supports these supporting patterns, right? What is the difference between Jersey and Spring REST? Both are same. Jersey is just outside the Spring ecosystem, nothing else. These days, sec or DevOps is widely heard. What is the importance of sec in DevOps? So it's basically the security aspect to the DevOps, right? So people are automating and deploying applications without even understanding whether they are deploying secure applications, right? So you should have your scans done on your products in order to deploy these into your production machines, right? That's when the sec DevOps comes into picture. I have a query how you make good architecture diagrams on Google Slide. Can you please show a demo on that also? It's no big deal. I just create diagrams. I spend so much time in creating these diagrams, right? Honestly, that's what I generally do. So that's why I'm trying to show you the best. I don't use any fancy tool as such. I just use whatever is open source so that I can make or spend minimal, what do you call, investment on these, right? So that, and I am giving you free videos as well, so I would obviously not spend much on these, right? For example, let me open the Kubernetes architecture diagram, right, which I created. I will show you how I do it. So this is the Google Slides, nothing else. So similar to how you create PowerPoint slides, I have transitions here, right? So I create transitions. See, for each and every what do you call image, I create transitions and apply here. So that's the only thing I do. The only thing is I try to keep the color patterns in sync. I don't generally add some lavish color pattern or something. For example, this is a Kubernetes video, so Kubernetes is in blue color. That's the pattern for Kubernetes, so I just align with the same color pattern, and that's why all my videos are rich, because I retain the same color pattern so that you don't get confused and stuff like that. So, and I want to keep it simple, right? Like, that's why I have a white and black logo. Pratik is saying, hey there, this is one of the few channels that provide information on actual software development. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Pratik. Good to know. I'm just sharing what I had been going through in the enterprise world, right? Unlike just being a consultant or something. I'm not a consultant. I'm a full-time developer like you guys, right? I'm just sharing my knowledge. Great to know. Anything on machine learning using Python you're planning? Right now, no, Abhishek. Honestly, right? I don't want to look into the machine learning space yet. There are already tons of things to look at, because let people worry about machine learning, and then they let them make it better, and then we will look at it. Right now, I'm not going to bother about machine learning or blockchain. I use Django and Angular, and I want to set up that in Kubernetes. Great. You want to run your Python web server there. Nice. I'll definitely make a video on the Kubernetes. It's all coming, right? I'm trying all these in the free tier which I have in Google Cloud. So definitely you should be seeing all these videos. How can you create multiple instances of a microservice? It depends on the platform, Satish. So, for example, Cloud Foundry has an easy way to spawn automatically. Same with AWS. You can create automated scripts to create auto scaling groups to automatically scale. So it depends on the platforms, right? So it is not directly dependent on your application. You should have the platform, and that is where the DevOps comes into picture. Because when you want to spawn a new instance, you want to create the corresponding runtimes underneath, right? So that is when you will need all these DevOps to automate your infrastructure as a code. So that's how you can do it. See, use Kubernetes. That's what this guy is saying. Use Kubernetes, it is scalable. Yep. Can you make any video on Bamboo pipeline creation with AWS for deployment process? I don't think Bamboo is free, right, Suresh? If something is free, let me know. I can create. I cannot create enterprise softwares, right? I can't like pay for the license, because they might be charging too much, and I don't think everyone would be able to do that in their local system. I want to try and do something which you can try in your machine, right? That's the idea of this channel. Hi Sai, how would you suggest to learn Spring Framework from the beginning? I would say start off with a project, right? And then start looking at videos, and then deep dive into the documentation. Yes, you can start off with Spring Boot, because that's very easy to start off. It gives you more confidence when you start off, because when you see something working, that's when it boosts your confidence, right? So I would say start off with Spring Boot. How much experience do you have in IT industry? I have around more than 9 years of experience in the IT industry, but I have been developing software for more than like 10 years now, right from the college days. So yeah. So REST and Spring MVC do a use case video once. Okay. REST is just used inside the Spring MVC. So Spring MVC is just using REST internally, right? Nothing else. So the next question is how to authenticate an Angular along with Spring Boot with LDAP. If it is authentication, then fine, or else do a authentication against DB. So yeah, there is a video already with Spring Boot and LDAP, buddy. So you can take a look at that video. Request and response logging in DB, is it possible with Spring Actuator? Request and response logging. I don't think so. So you cannot. Maybe you can add a custom actuator, but request and response logging. So that's not what Spring Actuators is for, right? So it can show you the health of the DB connectivity, but it won't show you the response of the queries, right? But you can add it. I mean, like, you can add some statements there, but it will be against your policy, right, of your microservice, because you might be exposing some sensitive data. So, but it is definitely possible. You can write whatever you want with custom Spring Actuators. Let me know if you want to make a video on that, Ankit, so I can try. Can you please help me on this? Okay, that's the question. Hi Ajay, I'm amazed to listen to your tech videos. May I know the secret of being up to date with so many technologies? Maybe we will try to follow the same. So I have created a video on that, Venkat. So right, how do I keep myself updated? So there's this video on buzzwords, how to be up to date with technology, and then there is something which I did see, how what channels do I follow and how to be updated with the latest tech. So these are some things which I did long back, maybe a year ago. Take a look at it and let me know, ping me or drop me a mail. I'll tell you. So it's basically just following different websites and then reading lots of medium blogs from all enterprise companies and then trying out and then talking about these right. So that's how I keep myself up to date. Suggest some tool or product that can store enterprise certification, both private and public, and act as the same act as some vault. There is something called vault in itself, right? Like there are open source vaults. There's I forgot some names. Last in the last live session, somebody suggested one. Right? I let me. Yeah, there is one with HashiCorp, which provides the a vault. Right. So what else is there? That's what I think. I forgot the name. So somebody in the comment section they had mentioned about that. Could you please have a session for master and slave in Jenkins, sir? Okay, but I don't have a master slave setup, Devi. That's the only reason I can't show it. Yeah. What is the best way to host a Spring Boot application as a service on AWS EC2? The best way in the sense you will have to automate it, Joel. I would say use the code deploy to create all your services. For example, you're starting and stopping, embed that into your application itself, inside your Spring Boot itself. Have these YAML files, the appspec.yaml, inside your application, and then use your CloudFormation or Terraform, whichever you're using, to orchestrate your EC2 creation. Right, so that would be the best way. Please make video on unit and integration testing. I did some on unit testing, Divij. So if you take a look at my video on unit testing, so I've done JUnit 5 sometime back, right? How to write integration testing and unit testing. See this, right? Take a look at that. Thank you, Muthukumar. Rajat is asking, could you please make tutorial on optional introduced in Java 8? Oh, there is one. I think I studied but didn't understand where to use. Yes, there is one video, buddy. You can take a look at that. So there is this Java 8 streams video which I did. In that I have used optional. So look at this particular video. Take a look at that. Thank you. Please make a video on API management tools. Sure, definitely, Pavan. I have done one with Swagger. You can take a look at Swagger Hub, right? So I have done one with that. So Milan says, hi, any reference on preparing SAML files for no Sahu, Milan Sahu. I've never tried something with SAML yet, right? So I'm not sure which one to suggest you. Protobuf and Avro. Yeah, I can do Avro because I know Avro. I've used Avro. Protobuffer. Okay, I've never tried that. Protobuffers. Okay, protocol buffers. I'll definitely check that, Kiran. Thank you, Satish. Please do videos on competitive programming algorithms. Algorithms is I don't think like people are looking at algorithms right now because there are so many YouTubers who are doing algorithms, right? So I wouldn't go with algorithms at this point of time. I please do video on static node analysis example, source clear, clarity, super cube, etc. By the way, I'm a super fan of you. Thanks for your super video. Thank you very much, Pawan. Great to know. Yeah, I have done sonar cube. If you look at the sonar cube video, so I have created a sonar instance locally and then I tried showing that. But the other things I don't know if source clear and clarity is all free, right? Sonar was free, so I had set it up. And I had created code quality and then showed up as well, right? So we'll see if something is free. I will definitely try, right? How are you remembering all those concepts? Because too many frame. Yeah, exactly. I know. That's why I skip sometimes some of the frameworks like .NET, right? Like I said, we cannot keep on remembering everything and anything. That's why I'm not looking at React yet. How do you debug for failures in production? What tools do you use for debugging? I use JVisual VM, or let's say in cloud-based environments, I've used App Dynamics and Dynatrace for monitoring applications and debugging. For example, if you want to debug thread levels or connection pool level details, you can do using these tools, right? So that is one way. Or if let's say something is stuck or something, you can take a thread dump and then see, and take thread dumps in sequence of like minutes or seconds, so that you can get a snapshot of different thread dumps, and then you can compare these thread dumps and identify where is the thread stuck issue or something like that. Spring security, definitely I have done lots of videos on spring security zapper, you can take a look at that. What is the actual difference between AWS and GCP? Great question. So AWS is nothing but Amazon's web services, the cloud-based uh, public cloud, and GCP is Google-based cloud provider, right? So what about Google cloud platform, right? So both are from different companies. AWS is much advanced because it's been in the industry for more than any other cloud provider. So they have like tons of services, and their support is premium than others, right? But yeah, others are all catching up the space, but I have never tried others in enterprise world, so I cannot comment much on the others. But AWS and GCP is almost the same. The only difference is the number of services which both of them provide. Services are something like using machine learning or AI based machines, or support for infrastructure, or features with respect to microservices and application specific implementations, right? So that is, those are the services. The next one is, can you make videos on DS and dynamic algorithm concept, as product based companies want more of that compared to frameworks? Thanks a lot. Like yeah, agreed. Product based companies wants more of that, but now the industry is moving towards automating everything, right? Definitely, I'll come to those maybe in a while, but right now the shift is towards your AWS or Kubernetes or DevOps, and the way you deploy software, right? Because developing software is easy these days. Anyone can develop a software, but managing the software is what is difficult, right? So, and that is where the automation is a key, and automation is the way forward, right? So definitely I'll do some Shubhashish, but definitely there are other peoples who are doing these already. That's why I'm not going into these area. Difference between MuleSoft and OK API. OK API I haven't never heard. MuleSoft is another enterprise service bus, right? MuleSoft is the company which is managing the Mule, which is another something similar to like Apache Camel or Spring integration. It's a workflow integration flow system, enterprise integration flow. So OK APIs. I'm not sure what is that. I'll let you know, Pawan. Can you comment on how Estonian government organizations use open source on or best in the world? I've never heard about it. Thank you for mentioning that, Kiran. I can just definitely government open source. I've never heard about or seen their case study. I will definitely take a look at that, Kiran. And if possible, maybe if it is interesting, I'll definitely take a video on that. Thank you very much. Ravi says, can you make a video for Spring integration? There is one, I think. I am not sure. Spring integration. Yep, I have done one video using the file adapter pattern. All right, let me know if it is good, or else I can try others. Do mention that, right, in the comment section. David says, one suggestion, please use Spring Tool Suite with your Spring tutorials, as IntelliJ IDEA is not free. No, who said IntelliJ IDEA is not free? I'm using the free version. I'm using the community version. Right, so there are two versions of IntelliJ. One is the community version, and the other one is the ultimate version. I'm using the community version, and I feel IntelliJ is much better than any other IDE which is out there, right? Spring Tool Suite is good when you are doing Spring based projects, but when it comes to working with multiple frameworks and stuff, IntelliJ IDEA is the best, and I've been using it for more than like 7 years now. Can you do a video on testing microservices? There is one with Cucumber. I have done with Cucumber, right? So that's what I would suggest. You should automate everything with Cucumber test, and you should run it as a part of automation testing. So I wouldn't suggest you to do manual testing. Kiran. So Buddha says, suggest a tool to monitor my service running or failed. Yeah, you can use Dynatrace, right? So you can use Dynatrace or App Dynamics for that. There is something called Datadog as well, which is now present. You can use that as well. Is Apache Camel relevant in microservices world? No, Apache Camel is just an implementation for your integration pattern, right? Like Spring integration, you can use Apache Camel to create flows. within your microservice. It's just a framework inside your microservice. So you can use Spring Boot, or you can use Spring integration, you can use Mule, or you can use Apache Camel, doesn't matter. Thank you as always. Thank you very much, Sri. Is James Gosling supporting OpenJDK version from? Yes, James Gosling is has moved to AWS. If you guys know James Gosling, the creator of Java, has now moved to Amazon Web Services, and he is now supporting the OpenJDK from Amazon Web Services. So he's back to the Java world. Product workflow management. I've never used it, Romal. Can you do more videos on testing JUnit and Mockito? Sure, Hema. Do you have any code where I can write test? Right. So I don't have any open source code to share. Right. I don't have any open source code which I can show you and write tests. So if you have anything without test which is in open source, then just drop that to me. I'll definitely take a stab at it and then create JUnits and Mockitos with that. Post videos related to microservice transaction and translation management. Is it transaction or translation management, Kumar? For application developers, is it necessary to learn and do certification on AWS? I would say there is no concept of like application developers or just support guys or the individual what do you call testers and stuff like that, right? Like the world is moving towards a place where everybody is going to be called as developers, whether you are a front end full stack developer or a back end developer. Everybody will be doing everything, right? So and everything will be automated, right? That's the idea. So I would say if you know, then it will be easy for you to dive into any of these areas in future. So there is no mandate as such. Can you make a video on how to use Prometheus and Grafana? There is one on Prometheus and Grafana. I think I don't remember if I did a video on Grafana, but I definitely did a video on Prometheus. Prometheus. Why is it not? I did a video on Prometheus. I don't know why it's not coming, but Grafana. So, yes, so this is the video. So I did with Micrometer and Prometheus. Okay, I didn't do with Grafana, but still, I think I had the UI with Grafana. I remember setting up Grafana as well. Do check this particular video, dude. Joel. Priyam is asking, please do a video on distributed logging using AWS CloudWatch, EC2, ECR, Dynamic. Yeah, sure, Priyam. I'm trying all these. I'll definitely do them. Hi, Amrita. How are you? It's been a long time. Yes, I'm good. I hope you're good. I wanted to know in depth about JNDI and JNDI bridge. Can you please help me understand this? Right now, yeah, sure. It's just a naming definition, right? So JNDI is like Java naming directory interface. So imagine it like a lookup table, right? So JNDI is like a standard which was created long back. If you want to do lookups of what do you call? Let's say you have a database, right? You know the name of the database, but you don't know the IP address of the database. So you can use JNDI to look up all those information. So using the JNDI lookup, all your routing happens. It's basically like a load balancer kind of thing, but it does only the lookup. It just gives you the metadata information of what you're looking for. So you provide a name to it, it will just give you the address for it. Right. So that's the thing. JNDI bridge, I don't remember right now, but yeah, it should be something similar, right? So you can just Google it out from there. Can you make a video about Spring Cloud? Obviously, there are tons of videos, buddy. You can take a look at Spring Cloud Primer. So there are tons of videos on Spring Cloud which I did. You can take a look at that. See, these are the ones. There are so many. I'm a Java developer with 4 years experience in core Java Spring Hibernate. How should I plan my career ahead? I would say, yeah, just start learning Spring Boot and stuff like that. Whichever you are interested in. If let's say you are interested in UI, start doing that as well parallelly. Don't wait for somebody to give you a task to work on that. Instead, I would say start learning on your own, right? I got a question Meenakshi is asking. In one of the interviews, that's what OS default return type of endpoint. I said HTTP response, even though I wasn't sure. Okay, so somebody asked you what is the OS default return? Um, okay, return type of endpoint. Okay, what is the return type of the OS default, right? So it's obviously, I think it's a what do you call HTTP response? Yeah, you are right. I think should be fine. Can you please explain countdown latch? Okay, right now I think Mr. Vikram has done a very good video on that countdown latch, right? So you can take a look at that in YouTube directly, right? So if you want to have a continuous flow inside your threads, you don't want to block something and you want to break a particular what do you call, a flow inside a thread, then you can definitely use countdown latch for that, right, at a high level. Any idea about Apigee reliable management of every? Yes, how exactly it is useful, how we use it in live project. Yeah, Apigee is similar to a API gateway. It does so many things additionally to an API gateway, like what service mesh is going to do, right? Like authentication, authorization. It can do metrics and load balancing. All those can be done inside Apigee, right? So, and it's a Google product. Google has acquired that company. What is the best password hashing algorithm to use in 2019? Joel, I have no clue. I don't I don't use any hashing algorithms, buddy. I'm not sure, honestly. Which one is better, AngularJS or React.js? I'm willing to learn, which has great future. If you want to have everything in one place, go for Angular. If you want to do integrate into an existing site, go for React. Using Angular, then later you can interact, I mean you can use React as well in the same, right? Because Angular gives you the complete ecosystem, React is like a library. Kiran is asking, thanks for the Norway. Okay, thanks from Norway. Oh great, Kiran, public organ Norway, big fans here. Oh great, good to know that you guys are from Norway. And yep, thank you very much for following the channel, right? Great to know. So is versioning of REST API is necessary and why is it required? Yeah, so if you want to have a backward compatible, and if you want to have, like, let's say you have a API, you have a API which is used by, like, let's say 100 consumers, but you want to create a new API and you don't want to disrupt the existing consumers. And if it is a breaking change, that's when you will go for versioning your APIs. So you will go ahead with versioning your API so that existing customers are not affected, and you can later on you can mark them as deprecated, and then later on when everybody's moved out of the deprecated one, you can remove that. So that is when you will go for versioning. So no questions here, just wanted to acknowledge you, claps. Thank you very much, Malik Dev Prasann. Thank you for that. Few examples of microservices. Madhusudan, I answered your question right in the start of the video. Once this particular video is live, right, after this you can take a look at that. I have given a video, I have given an example. Where do you work, bro? What's your compensation range? Only, is this the question to be asked in a live forum, right? So I have mentioned my profile, right? So you can go to about.me/moving to web. Take a look at my LinkedIn profile, so you will get to know all the details. So this is where you have all details about me. Obviously, the salary is not mentioned there, buddy. Where are you working, bro? Yeah, definitely take a look at my LinkedIn profile, Vijay. I don't want to mention that in the live, but you can take a look at my LinkedIn profile. Product based structure in microservice. Product based structure, what does that mean? I didn't get it, Romal. I have 10 microservices. Will the REST API authentication be provided at Zool or at every microservice? If you provide at Zool, and if you don't have any way to access those 10 microservices, then you can have it in Zool. But if, let's say, you are able to reach these 10 microservices directly, then I would suggest you to have the authentication in every microservice. Hema. Siddharth is saying, I have worked on Spring Boot and JPA last year, so I want to learn something new to, so DevOps, Python, blockchain, which is good. DevOps, which will be relevant for you. So start off with DevOps, because blockchain, people will be talking about blockchain, but how relevant is it is the matter, right? So will you be able to do blockchain like up and running in your team right now? No, right? Obviously, DevOps will help you in automating stuff. Then we will see how blockchain is getting adopted into the industry, right? Then we will look at blockchain. That's what I would suggest. My friend Subhashish want to be like you. Okay. I don't know what Subhashish asked. Okay. He want to move from Capgemini TCS in feel like company. Same with me to kindly help us to improve ourselves. We were good our work, but want to move further. Yeah, obviously if you spend time in investing and in learning, definitely there'll be somebody who will hire you, buddy. So don't worry about working in companies. Right. So What is the value of certification with respect to Kafka? Also, it is worth to go for certifications in Java 8 or later. No, I don't think so. Right? I have never seen somebody showing off the certificate right now with Java. Right? You may be SCJP certified, but I don't think people are looking only at the certification with respect to Java space. Right? Same with Kafka. So Kafka, I have not seen much because there is only some small subset of people who are using directly Kafka. Right? People are worried only about the application development and automating stuff. Right? So yeah, I wouldn't say you shouldn't be going, but yeah, it's not of that value right now. How to learn data structures and algorithms? You should be following some videos on YouTube. That's what I would say. Have yet, right? Could you please create a video on Gaia? Oh, I have never tried that, buddy. Bro, one of my pleasant championships after seeing your videos of series of videos. Yep, thank you very much, Vijay, for mentioning that. After that, I started watching now. Great to know, right? How do I know where microservice used or not in web application? Mm, you should look at the architecture as a whole, right? How things are getting deployed. That's when you will know whether they are using microservice pattern or whatever. Because if your services are auto healing and you don't have any problem with resiliency and stuff, that's when you know it's microservice. People just split your monolithic application into small components and they start calling microservice. That's not a real microservice as such. What about MuleSoft? MuleSoft is a company, dude, like Spring, which is creating enterprise integration patterns like Spring integration or Spring data flow. What is the difference between Zool versus Ribbon versus Feign? Feign, I'm not sure, Durga Prasad. Zool is a proxy. Ribbon is for load balancing, the client side load balancing for service discovery patterns, right? So Feign client is again a fake client. I don't know why people use it because I've never used it, but I have seen people using it. React or Angular, I've used Angular, so I can only suggest Angular, but I have heard good things about React, so I don't know at this point of time, right? Nicole. Cool. I think I'll stop the video here. It's been almost an hour, right? So I'll take the last question. Can we extract barrier token in Azure so that I do not need to? Oh, I've never tried Azure, buddy. Mm, honestly, daily, how much do you spend in learning? What sort of resources do you use? Is there any tech blogs you use to? Yeah, I was just telling that, Vijay. So I have a video on that as well. Mm, I have a video on what do I do, right? What kind of technology things I use, or what do I use? So, for example, the what channels do I follow and stuff like that. And there's a video on top websites which I follow for online learning and stuff like that. These are all free websites, so you can take a look at these videos in the channel, and then that's what I do. How many hours? There is no stipulated hours. Minimum, like I spend 2 hours in learning every day, right? So sorry again. What about AWS certification? AWS certification is good these days because the level of questions are all difficult. So it's like considerable these days. Is Zool support load balancing by default? Yeah, it does only client side load. I don't think I'm not sure. Duals it will support, but internally it doesn't provide you the load balancing out of the box. Right? It will do client side load balancing. That's it. Gaia is like pass paste if you have time. Sure, Pawan. What is the way to handle session in RESTful Java application? Okay, though there is something called Spring Sessions. You can use that, Jagannath. So you can use the Spring Sessions to store the session values inside your Redis cache or any key value store and manage your sessions across microservices. Cool. I think I'll end the video here, right? So thank you very much, guys. Hope you learned something from this session as well, and I hope I'll be sharing my knowledge in the coming videos as well, right? So if you have any suggestions, Drew, drop them in the comment section, or you can drop a mail to me. And if let's say you're not in the Tech Primer Slack channel, drop me a mail as well, so that I can add your email ID to the invite. So I have a Slack channel called techprimers.slack.com, so you can join the Slack channel. Already there are like 175 people, I think, as a part of the channel. So people share their code and stuff like that. So if you want to join, drop me a mail to info@techprimers.com. I'll definitely send you the invite. Right. That's it. If you are not following the channel in Twitter or Facebook, do definitely follow there. So you will get notifications from there as well, and you can interact with me in Twitter directly. Right. So I look at Twitter a lot. Right. I hope you found this particular video interesting. We'll meet again. I don't know when, but we'll see. Right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you have a great day ahead. If you're in India, good night, guys. If you're in other parts of the world, good evening and have a great day. See you again in the next video. Thank you very much.